Stand for the pledge. Okay. Like to address the board? Okay. Seeing none, let's move on to number 4, celebrating district successes, Halverson Elementary, multicultural. Tanya?
I'd like to request 6.2 be pulled from the consent.
Do you want to address 6.2 before we get into the reports?
Yeah, right at the end.
Or right now? Either way.
Do you want to do it? Yeah, we can do it now. Let's do it now, please.
Could we take a look at the minutes from whatever the last workshop was, March 3rd maybe? Yeah, I was just wondering, so I was remote for this meeting, and I'm just wondering, so when we went into closed session, it's 5-0 and it said Maureen absent, so I'm just wondering, and then the earlier motion was 6-0, so I'm just wondering, was I not heard on the second one, but I was heard on the first one, or there was a problem with audio on my end, or coming through to this end? Because I know that, so during the meeting I sent an email that I was trying to be a part of the discussion, but I obviously wasn't being heard. So I don't know if I was heard at all.
I don't think so.
Didn't hear me at all, because I know, yeah, so I think it's something to keep in mind for the future. Usually the chair checks in with, and if we do more of this in the future too, I think that's important. But I guess for this case, I wasn't heard. I know how I voted. I don't know how we want to, I mean, it can't be probably one way for one and one way for the other, so I don't know how we want to.
We can adjust the minutes and then bring them back, or we can adjust them right now and then approve the minutes.
Okay, what would be the recommendation for the adjustment?
How about
To
a
make it a
motion?
6-0 vote to go
Okay.
into closed session to discuss labor negotiations.
Okay, I actually voted against that just to see if I was being heard. So the correct one, the first one was 6-0, and then going into closed session, it would have to be 5-1 then. And then after that, I was absent, so that would be agreeable to me.
And Jill, in the future, could you please call the district office prior to discussing this at a board meeting so we can present the correct minutes? Thank you.
Well, I don't think that, I think the minutes that come out on the 3-day ahead are the ones that have to be presented and talked about. So I don't think there's really a vehicle to make any changes.
We present the information for your review so we can make adjustments before the meeting if we need to.
I guess for discussion, I would like clarification to see if we actually are able to do that, because that's not my understanding. So if we are able to do that,
We are able to do that.
I'm happy to put that in an email.
We are able to do that.
I will copy both the chair and vice chair. Thank you.
I think we're able to do that because it is not in a meeting. And so I think that makes it.
We would make an adjustment prior to the
Get
meeting.
correction out.
Correct. Just two things tonight, then I'm going to get into much more detail later on what we're doing with the COVID-19 response. But two pieces of very good news, kind of. Today was the first day that the field house was supposed to be open for our student athletes. And today was the first day that we have the district daycare open, and we have a couple people utilizing that. So those are two very good pieces of good news for the district, and want to thank the board for their support and making sure that those things got accomplished for our district and our community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I keep forgetting. But also to see how there might be some ability for students to help be creative and help design. They had like coffee cup holder plates that were designed with the Lou Rich logo. The table they built there was built by their staff. It was a really great opportunity, good learning to see. I'm trying to find my notes on that, which I do not see. Good discussion. Moving forward, the website that people can go to if they're looking for staff, or do you know the name of that, Neil?
Not offhand. It's it has to do with the with Ed Foundation also, because
Right.
John Double's done a pretty good job, and I wish I had that too.
What's that? Future, okay.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go, thank you. So we had that. Oh, and I can't miss, Aaron, congratulations. That was great to see. Well-deserved. It was nice to see all the work that you are doing at the school, so well-deserved. Trying to think of other meetings. I think that was all I had. Any of the upcoming meetings for the chamber have been postponed at this time, so we'll be missing on those for a bit.
Have anything to report on meetings I attended, except for we received an email that the Teacher of the Year reception will be either postponed or canceled. That'll be determined, but it for sure won't be on the date it was scheduled.
I too was at the Business Ed meeting, even though I'm not on the committee anymore, but I couldn't resist the invitation to go to Lou Rich's establishment in Outlee, because they have a long history of being very active in partnering with the district in educational issues and apprentice programs, working with students. Remarkable company. And we got some insight into the history of that company, which was really interesting to me, because I think I'm probably the only one old enough to remember when there wasn't a Lou Rich anyplace. And I remember when they started in my backyard in Hayward, and it's what a remarkable story. And they epitomize what a business should be, I think, in terms of their commitment to the community and their involvement in so many good things that go on. So congratulations to that organization. The business or the Education Foundation is involved in planning for various recognitions: the Distinguished Educator, the Distinguished Alumni, and then the Athletic Hall of Fame, all of which, as a result of current developments, are kind of iffy. We have a meeting coming up shortly. The Hall of Fame committee, Mark Peterson and Tom Jones, involved in that, and we are going to screen some candidates and talk about whether or not we will, in fact, have the banquet as scheduled. That's it.
Just one point I had thought of, we talked about too, childcare. at the state level right now, House File 1, one-time allotment, 500 million, I think, for upgrades, for trainings. I don't know if that might be something that you guys have already looked at, but that'll be coming up. And then also, the Senate has a file as well. One of the big issues, and it ties right to the school district, is that if we don't get up to the 25% level on CCAP, we stand to lose $9 million in funding to the state.
No meetings to report tonight, thank you.
I attended the Business Head Committee as a chamber rep, so it's nice that we get that opportunity to have 3 of us there, but it was a great tour. I also attended the Teacher of the Year committee meeting, and so again, that's a fun time, and I just love the dedication of retired teachers and teachers that are there. It's just amazing. And then I just wanted to do a little bit, this is probably the best time, shout out. I received lots of correspondence today from people that were very impressed with how the administration and Dr. Funk have handled what we're going to talk about soon. And I think we hear so many times about things that aren't going well, and I love to hear that things were going well. So, in a rough time.
I didn't have any committees, but I will say that I did have the privilege of watching the last couple games of boys basketball this year. They did a great job. It was a lot of fun, and for all of the student athletes, not just the guys, but for statewide that have missed out on some great opportunities. It is what it is, but again, I just wanted to give them a shout out. And I also took the opportunity to take a little walk through in the field house maybe a week or two ago, and what a facility. I look forward to our open house and things like that. So, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to say on behalf of my grade, the junior class, the 11th grade, that I think it was 100% the right decision to close schools for a couple weeks at the direction of the governor, given the obvious and continuing threat that COVID-19 poses. And I, like Kim, I want to thank the school district for canceling today and tomorrow with student safety in mind, with students coming back from spring break. And I also want to thank the school district, its staff, teachers, and principals for the steps they've taken to ensure student safety and for their continuing work in finding new and creative ways to bring students back to school in a safe and productive way.
I am not doing this again. You have to elect a new one. Yeah, thank you. I wanted to after spring break, there's not a lot to report that's going on in the schools, and as you know, COVID-19 is taking up a lot of our time or our attention. So today we had several meetings about that, and things will develop as they do. So I don't have a big report. I threw it out to the whole district, the ALEA people, and nobody responded. So we're looking at cancellations of a lot of concerts and fun nights and some of those things, unfortunately, but who knows what will happen. Nothing.
Okay, number 8, Safe and Healthy Schools, Dr. Funk, COVID-19 update.
So we've had a busy few days here, and before we get started, I just want to really thank Mary Jo and Kathy, who have they've worked a lot of long hours over the last few days, really helping get us organized to the point where we are. So I want to give the board and the community who's ever watching this or who will be online an update of where we're at as a district regarding our response to the challenge that COVID-19 is bringing us. Hit the button, Dennis. There we go. So Governor Walz yesterday morning had a conference call at 8 o'clock with all the superintendents in the state of Minnesota and told us basically what he told people at 10 o'clock later in the morning, that he's issuing an executive order that will close all public schools in Minnesota on Wednesday through Friday the 27th. His intent is to open those schools again on March 30th to provide distance learning opportunities to students. There's 3 components of his directive, and I'm going to talk us through all 3 of these in the next few minutes here. First one is to provide school-age childcare to students of healthcare and emergency workers. Go ahead and click on that link, Ashley. So we sent this out earlier this afternoon, and we sent out a school reach on this as well. So we are offering free school-age childcare for students 5 to 12-year-olds during our regular school hours throughout our elementaries and Southwest Middle School. And so if you are a healthcare worker, as described below, or you work for a nursing home, or you're a first responder, we're asking you to contact the school district and contact your school, the elementary building or Southwest where your son or daughter attends, and then we will provide student care during the day for all those students. And we will also provide transportation if necessary. So we are hoping in the next 24 hours people will identify who needs transportation, and then we will initiate a transportation plan for those students to get them to and from school. So that's the first part of the governor's directive. The second part is to provide meals to all students, and so click on the next link. So our transportation and our food service people have been busy planning. And so our plan is we will start this on March 18th at 11 a.m. The buses will roll before then, but to be at these sites at 11 a.m., we will have buses with a lunch, a snack, and a breakfast for the next morning, prepackaged, for any 18-year-old or younger person who lives within our community. So as you can see, we have the schools are covered. Southwest and Sibley will be at Southwest. Brookside is covered. We have a student child care at the YMCA, so we're bringing a bus over there. The Rock has a number of students. We're bringing a bus there. Hollandale Christian, First Baptist in Clarks Grove, Hayward Lutheran. See, we got all the religions here. We got the Lutherans, we got the Baptists, we got the Catholics with St. Theodore's. But we are, we are really trying to cover as much as we can. In that parking lot that you have there at 600 East 14th Street, that's near a warehouse, near a number of the trailer courts in the industrial warehouse near Halverson in that part of town. So, and the buses will have food sign on the side of them for recognition. And so we are going out as much as we can to blanket the community with meal opportunities for our students. I was contacted by some backpack folks yesterday for weekends, and we're still trying to work through how we would distribute backpacks since we're not going to be in school for those people who utilize the backpacks on the weekends. So we will have cooks and paraprofessionals with the bus drivers to help distribute the food at each of these sites. So again, thanks to our food service and transportation people for putting this piece together. Last thing, and which of course what we are about, is we are providing distance learning to students starting on March 30th. Go ahead to the next slide. Some particulars: we will still continue to receive state aid for the duration of whether we're over this next 10-day period for our district, or for the distance learning piece when it starts. All employees will continue to receive regular pay and benefits. We have all employees reported to work today. We plan on utilizing all employees over the next 2 weeks as we prepare for our distance learning. We are also, in addition to providing school-age child care to emergency workers, we are going to provide it for our staff as well. We have a lot of staff members who have kids that are now at home that they were not able to take care of. We figured, and the MDE is actually recommending that we do this, that since we are providing school-age child care for medical workers who are, considered, what word am I looking for? Essential. And our teachers, we believe, are essential, and so therefore, we are providing that to our employees as well. So that we are putting together a plan for that, and we're going to continue to offer it's not going to be VPK, it's not going to be offer preschool, it won't be preschool, but those kids who have been receiving it, we will be offering childcare to our children of our employees who have been doing that as well. So right now as a district, we are in a preparation phase, and we talk a lot about e-learning, and e-learning is more short-term. It's just, okay, here's kind of the assignments for the next day. We are really transitioning to a long-term distance learning plan and how that's going to look different than e-learning. So staff initially got together this morning. I know there was some professional development in some of the buildings this afternoon. We plan on having district-wide grade level team meetings so that all the first grade teachers in the district are going to be taking a similar approach to this. All the sixth grade teachers or fifth grade teachers, et cetera. So it will be consistent when we do this. We also have, we have to discuss how we're going to do music and art, and so those teachers are working together on that in Fayed. The crucial component of all of this for us is internet access. We have devices for everybody, but we don't have internet access for everybody. So in the buildings today, we had support staff calling families and leaving messages to find out what their need is for internet access. And once we identify that need, we will either provide hotspots individually, or we're looking at the plan of potentially parking a bus with some hotspots on it. If we have a neighborhood that has no internet, then maybe people could access it that way. So we're looking through different strategies to ensure that our folks have equitable access to the internet. Since this is not a short-term e-learning, we are distributing all of the devices that we have in the district, and so we will be doing that at the elementary buildings in the next few days. The elementary principals are putting plans together for that. At that time as well, we've talked to some teachers. They said they want to meet with their kids before the end of the year here, so they'll have that opportunity to see their students. And then kids will have the opportunity to clean out their student desk and lockers, because we don't know if we'll be coming back this spring. Having said that, I will tell you that we are going to stick to the calendar we're currently on, which has us ending school on, I think the last day is for staff is May 22nd. The devices that we're providing to the elementary students, we will offer the parents, the family's insurance for $5 for accidental damage if they want to protect themselves against breaking the Chromebooks or the iPads. Just wanted to give the board a quick overview of some of the platforms we're going to be utilizing throughout the district during this e-learning, so you get kind of an idea of, the distance learning tools we're going to utilize. So go ahead and click on Schoology. This is what's being used at Albert Lee High School. Nothing for volume. Is YouTube, is the volume on YouTube off? Nope. So basically, you can see here that they're able to create assignments right online, schedule things. Kids have the opportunity to communicate back and forth right online. Take quizzes. And then turn in assignments. Dennis.
At the high school level, what the kids have, I'm guessing group projects is going to be hard to do, but will they be allowed to meet in small groups at all? I'm just thinking for that part of that experience.
Don't know. Okay.
They do, there's this, the equivalent of a chat room is incorporated in a lot of these platforms.
Through the Schoology platform, I think there is a ability for them to communicate back and forth. Okay, go ahead and click on the next one, Ashley. This is Google Classroom. Maybe we'll have a little better luck. I doubt it, but very similar to what you just saw with Schoology. They've had Schoology at the high school for a number of years, and Google Classroom has really taken off at the middle level, really high elementary and middle school level. And so it's a similar platform to what we have with Schoology, and we are a Google district. But people will be able to interact with their class and their teacher throughout the day using the various opportunities for resources. And one of the things I want to say with this is we had a meeting this morning, and we're very cognizant from our, especially last year's e-learning experience, where we don't want to overwhelm our students with day after day after day. So you might see within Schoology or Google Classroom, okay, your assignment is going to be here today, and I'm going to give you today and tomorrow to finish it, and then the teacher can go in and start grading, and then they will have maybe another assignment or more interaction the next day. Because our kids, feedback we got from the administration and staff is that we're burning people out here. So we have to make sure we pace ourselves, especially if we're going to be doing this for 4, 6, or 8 weeks with the process. Go ahead to the next one, Ashley. Next one is Seesaw, and this is really, Chris, you could probably speak to this better than I, but this is K1, 2, and kids can use their iPads for this. Scroll forward a little bit, Ashley. Right there. So kids can create stuff on their iPads and then record it, and then it gives the teacher the ability to see what the kids are working with, and then the kids can share that with their parents. I don't know, Chris, do you want to share?
It's a great program. We've been using it for a few years. It's gonna be a change of pace for us. Usually we do an activity, push it out to the kids, and they do the activity at school, and then post it so their parents can see it. So now we're gonna have to change it to being a push out, and then we'll have to see it. The activities on there's a whole list of, if you want to teach shapes, for instance, have kids take pictures of this wall and then circle all the rectangles that they see. So yeah, we'll just have to figure out how we're going to do it so that they can do these things at home more independently, and then we'll be able to read or see what they're doing.
I have a question, and maybe this is because I'm the age I am, but not everyone is, technologically adapted to this. And so my question is, when you have these programs out there, are they all into it and they all know it so they can utilize it, or are we to that stage?
Yes and no. Okay, and I think that's part of what we're going to be having the discussions on over the next, week and a half here. I think in school, if you were to say to a kid, let's use Seesaw, okay, they got it, but then, again, they know that there's supports in the room, then they're going to go home, all right, what's the parents' piece of that?
We've offered parents access to this for at least 3 years, and usually I have a handful of parents that actually sign up to see what their kids are doing. So I hope that changes now that this is going to be
Right. One of the major issues that we're working through right now is we've got emails through really 3rd grade. We can push emails out if we need to folks, but we can't K2. We don't. Your kindergartens aren't going to read an email, and so we're working through communication issues with K2, with K5 really, and we're developing a plan. We feel it's pretty good. And when we communicate that, I think one of the things when we send out those communications will be, will offer opportunities for parents to maybe learn some of these pieces that can support their students. But that's a great question. Dennis?
I had just one other one. The biggest challenge, I'm guessing, with the district is IEPs, special ed, special needs. Is that coming up? Okay, I'll be quiet.
Last click on IXL, and this is a newer program, and we have some places in the district are utilizing this. We're going all in, and we're going to have our teachers trained on this. They have to go through about a 90-minute training sometime in the next week and a half. And really, this is a program that offers math, language, science skills that kids can be working on. And it's a great program that can augment what we're doing with our curriculum. And actually, we use Envisions for Math. And if you were to get into this program and click on, okay, I want to use Envisions Unit 4, Lesson 3, this would pop up some problems that the students would work on. And the nice part about this is it adjusts to the level of the student. So if a student's struggling with the problem, it'll bring the student back to some basic building block type situations. Or if a student's acing the problem, it'll push them forward. And so we had a meeting with some folks on this about a month ago, and one of the teachers at Hawthorne is utilizing it in her classroom. She had it in another district, and came away very impressed with it. So we decided we were going to pilot this in some buildings this spring, and just check it out some more. And then the virus hit, and now we're going to do more than a pilot. We're going to use this as one of the tools that we have for accessibility for our staff to help with our students with. Okay, Ashley. So we also have students, and then we have Google Hangouts, which will allow and Google has come down, they've opened it up. So basically, one teacher can talk to 250 students at a time if they want to, both ways, which is usually they charge. And we won't need 250 students, of course, but that is something that we will be able to do as well. So really what our teachers are going to be doing is they're going to be blending, the other thing I failed to mention is when we distribute the devices K-5, we're also going to try to distribute as many books as we can at the kids' reading levels so that they can go home and have these books with them. So we're going to there'll be some non-electronic components to the distance learning that goes on, in addition to what I'm showing you with some of these platforms here. And I don't have the complete answer for you today. We've only been working on these pieces of it for probably about 24 hours. But I feel very, very good as far as where we are at as a district, being presented with the challenges that we have. So go to the next slide, Ashley. So students with unique circumstances. We have students on IEPs, so we're going to have IEP meetings for each of those students who are on an IEP, and we're going to have to look at how we're going to address these issues through distance learning, how we're going to address their learning. We have some extreme cases of students who have very, very significant needs that we have teachers and pairs with them, in a room that we're looking at. Are we going to? I had a teacher come up to me at Lakeview this morning and say, "Can I teach my autistic students in a homebound type setting?" And with the virus and everything out there, I said, "Well, that's just something we're going to have to explore because we don't want you to go into an environment where you might get sick, et cetera, et cetera." But that's what we have for teachers. I want to step up and I want to do this for my students to meet their needs as best as we can. Speech students, pretty straightforward there. We can do it through video. We just got to make sure we have to use Zoom instead of Google because Zoom has a better layer of protection than Google there. But we can do that. Our English language learners, we're going to be seeking support from our success coaches, working with our EL teachers to make sure that we are meeting the needs of those students. And I got to also thank the success coaches. We have been sending out, and we will continue to send out school reaches, and we send them out in how many languages, Mary Jo? Are we sending out? 4. Okay, so we're sending them out in 4 different languages, so to keep people informed of what's going on. Also, Johanna, I saw an email that you sent to Mary Jo about communicating with families who don't speak English and keeping them aware of what is going on in the ever-adjusting world we're living in right now. So thanks to both you and Ariel and all of our success coaches for what you're doing. And then VPK, we're not going to give computers to, and so we are looking to do, those teachers are working through how we're going to do this using non-electronic means, and this would be for our early childhood special ed kids as well. I got to tell you, I think we are very well prepared for this. We have a great network internally within the school district as far as infrastructure for computers. You wouldn't see believe the emails that are going on. Okay, well, my school has enough for our high school students. My school doesn't have any one-to-one devices. You know, and districts are being challenged with this, and the governor has said you're going to do distance learning, figure it out. And so we are very fortunate to be in the situation that we are in with the devices we have. And our catch-up is going to be on making sure we all have internet access, and that's through the talking to folks and making sure that they have it. Our teachers, you know, we're using Schoology at the high school because they're comfortable with Schoology at the high school. We're using Google Classroom at Southwest because they're comfortable with that. But that just shows you how many years of proficiency we've had with our teaching staff. That we know the platforms, we want to use it. Chris is familiar with Seesaw, and so I just think that we've used a lot of these things, and now really it's going to be the art of the teaching of, okay, we have these tools available, how can we best implement them to really make this a successful experience for our students moving forward. But I've met with a number of teachers today, had a long meeting with the administration this morning, and I got to tell you, they've got a great attitude. We can do this, and we're going to do it right. So I think as I state in the slide there, I think we're well prepared for the terrible situation we're facing. Thank you.
Couple questions. The support, device support. Now, the teachers probably won't be expected to, if I call in and I can't get my computer to work, I mean, do we have enough people for that? And then I just want to check with the paras. Will they just be working side by side with the teachers?
Paras we're still fleshing out, but I mean, some of the paras will be doing the daycare that we're providing for the employees and the medical workers. They will be working with special ed folks if we need the assistance there, especially, you know, we talked about home visits. Can I bring a para, et cetera? Yep. We are guaranteeing people that they are being paid. The governor has said people are being paid. So we are really, right now, trying to figure out how to best utilize folks district-wide, particularly the paras, moving forward here. But I think we'll have a good plan for our success coaches and what we're utilizing there. As far as the teacher devices, they're brand new this year. The teachers' Chromebooks are brand new, so I'm not looking to see any issues there on that side of it.
As far as like students and all that, you just have 1 or 2 people going to be.
We have each building. We've got a building tech we've got a dedicated building tech for what district technology. That's what they do, and then we have building tech integration coaches who are teachers who could help out as well if necessary.
I don't know why I thought about it. State testing, I had to ask. Sorry.
Yeah, they haven't given us a definitive no on that yet, but I'm thinking it's going to be a no. They need to get a waiver from the government to do away with the testing. I can tell you, we are not planning on doing the ACT. And so we're okay there because we will just offer it next year to the juniors. Might be a little later than they want, but we'll still offer it. And a lot of colleges are starting to say, we don't want to do the ACT anymore. But we will not be doing it en masse this spring on the date we had originally planned.
Do we know anything about AP testing in some of those classes?
My intent really would be to continue with AP, but I don't know what AP is going to do yet. Okay, and so if we do continue with AP testing, we would just spread the students out, and then we would have proctors, but we wouldn't have them all in the same classroom together.
And what is the word on the MCA tests?
I think they're going to be canceled, but I don't have an official word on that yet.
Okay.
They said, here's what the official word is. You will not be allowed to test the MCAs in a distance learning environment.
So for these initial 2 weeks, is there e-learning or is it just prep for the distance learning?
Now, the governor is shutting down schools from the 18th and through the 27th with the intent of reopening them on the 30th. So there is no education for the next 10 days.
And so then the distance learning situation is for the foreseeable future until further notice?
Yes.
Okay. And then will the food distribution and the child care go throughout that whole time?
Yes, it will.
Mm-hmm. And is there any, is it just an honor basis as far as a parent coming and picking up lunches for their kids, or how?
Yeah, it's parents or students can come and pick up the food for their students, or for their kids.
So the students are going to be learning at a distance. Are staff going to be teaching from a distance, or will they report to the building?
We have the staff together for the next 2 weeks, working together, and then once the 30th comes, they will be working at home, independently. And then occasionally we may call them in for a meeting or something.
Or they may choose to come for some.
Right, and the buildings will be open.
Yeah, okay.
And as far as devices for ALC, are the Chromebooks sufficient for the classes that they take? I've heard from some people that they're not.
Great question, and I missed the ALC on the slide here as well. So 2 things on the ALC. First of all, we are making sure that the Chromebooks that the students are taking home will be quality Chromebooks. The second component of that is the ALC students use something called OdysseyWare, which is their online curriculum for the different classes that they take. They will continue to use OdysseyWare as their working from home.
For the buses supplying the food, is there a list somewhere where the community can just easily check? Oh yeah, Halverson, and see those locations?
That'll be coming out tomorrow.
Okay, and then also with the buses, I'm just kind of trying to visualize how those are going to be distributed, the lunches, and is there going to be social distancing in mind and all of that?
Basically, it's going to be, I would imagine, you can drive up, get out of your car, grab the food, and go. And we're not going to be serving food there. It's going to be prepackaged. You just take it with you and you go.
Could you, I didn't hear the issue with the backpack program. How is that?
We don't know. We're trying to work through that, how we're going to do that for the weekends. Because typically what we do with the backpack program is we go and we put food in the kids' backpacks in their lockers. Well, we don't have that opportunity anymore. So we're not sure how we're going to.
The plan for today, before students were not coming to school today, was to bring enough backpacks for a week and then have them taken home by the students.
Right.
I'm not sure what the plan is now.
I did just want to put a shout out to District 241. Just from some of the discussions I've had across the state, where different districts are meeting. They have no clue what they're going to do. It's really nice to come into a meeting today and see that things are laid out. We know things are going to change. It's going to be on the fly, but really nice to know that Albert Lee, on one hand, is really leading the way.
Again, teachers, admin, they're running with it.
And Kathy, Mary Jo, and Mike on your spring break, putting it together, very good.
I just have one question, and I don't know if you've thought about this, but as a parent of a senior who's really struggling, is there any thought to some mental health services for some of them? I don't mean to open a can of worms, but it's real.
We had that discussion this morning, okay? And the discussion is, this is a weird situation that our kids are and our families are going through, and it's not like summer. You're stuck in home. You don't have as many resources to go out and do different things. And so one of the points of discussion in our meeting this morning was our school social workers, our counselors, what can we start to provide? Can we start to provide a list of things, opportunities, resources available for mental health needs of students and families who are going to be, potentially, I heard a conversation today that, they're looking at bars and restaurants closing down. So I think the isolation and some of the lost opportunities for our students are very real. And as a district, that is an area that we are looking at. How do we support? I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can tell you that was part of a meeting we had this morning.
Aaron, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're a senior, right? Oh, you're a junior, I'm sorry. Well, put yourself in the place of a senior. What does this look like from a student's point of view?
So I think a majority of the students understand why they're doing this and why school is being canceled. They may not like it, but for the public safety, they do understand why it's happening. And, they do have other students that they can talk to. And, I was just telling Kim before the meeting started, I was talking with 2 seniors yesterday. One of them who, oddly enough, is super excited that we don't have school. I don't really think it's hit him yet why we don't have school. And then the other was, Kim's daughter, who's really upset that they're not really, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding their graduation, all the things that usually leads up to graduation, like the senior dinner dance, their last year do Tigers Roar, all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I think that a majority of students understand why it's happening, and I don't want to go as far as say a majority support it, but they do understand why it's happening, and yeah.
I just want to clarify too, she's not really she's definitely not mad. One of her comments was, I can't not have another Gens lecture. So that speaks volumes for our teachers as well. So
A special time, not a bad. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's it's such a liquid situation, as we mentioned before. It might change again tomorrow, but we've got looks like a great game plan, and keep the kids learning. That's what we're here for.
I just have one last question. So considering that COVID-19 can live on surfaces for 3 days, have there been any discussions yet as to how specifically on the middle school and high school levels we're going to bring students back to school where they go from desk to desk at the change of every hour? And is that going to be sanitized every time after class? Or have there been any discussions about that as to making sure students are going from room to room in a sanitary fashion?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for the report and the comments. Moving on to number 9, curriculum, nothing there. Number 10, effective and efficient operations. Jennifer, 10.1, policy 721, uniform grants, second reading.
Yeah, since this is the second reading.
Yeah.
I talked about it last.
No further changes.
I'll move approval.
Second reading? Yeah, it should be just second reading, no action.
All right, those all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same.
That one is just second reading, so the action's for 10.2, so you don't need you didn't need a, so you want to disregard? Okay.
Kathy, 10.2, Licensed Practical Nurse Association approval for their master agreement.
Yeah, so LPNs have come to agreement with the district. I sent most of the big pieces that we haven't discussed in closed session to you last week. I think it was very amenable. I don't think we had any concerns.
Second.
To approve, any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose the same. Pass 7-0. And Kathy, 10.3 for
So food service workers, these are the school district employees. We are at 9 employees, and I believe we have 2, if not 3 retirements maybe coming in. So very similar agreement to the LPNs. I think one significant piece to both of these contracts that we talked about before is the looking at attendance pay and how we really want employees, especially in this day and age, and what we're experiencing now, to be able to take their sick days when they're sick. So I appreciate the board's willingness to have that discussion and move away from attendance pay and allow employees when they're sick to take their sick days. So thank you.
Here we have motion made to approve. And a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose the same. Motion passes. Okay. Ashley, do you have our little spot? What I want to do here, just take a couple minutes. We sent out in the board packet the information that we received from our school board self-evaluation. Just make a couple comments before we get into some discussion. Basic comments that I received from MSBA when we went through it. Kind of got as much out of the freebie as I could, and invited us, if we would like to go any further, that we could. But so basically looking at the data. But first I'd like to thank everyone for participating in the evaluation. The purpose of the evaluation is to be a stronger board and to go forward together supporting our decisions to make our students' lives better. All the tools are only as good as the information they provide and the interpretation of these results. I believe this is a good tool and that we should use it annually, since we do evaluate other district personnel on an annual basis. School board self-evaluation tool resulted in 100% participation of our board members and superintendent. The results build a portfolio of our board's work, and the 5 standards of board practice provided are proven to support student achievement. These 5 areas are conduct and ethics, vision, structure, accountability, advocacy, and communication. The 72 questions are answered were derived from the profile, and there was 10 to 15 questions in each one of the standard areas. Gail Gilman is in charge of this process at MSBA, and her and I spoke about it, and I just asked her, I said, what are some things you look at? Again, trying to pick her brain a little bit and get the information. And she said what she looks at, and might be best if we looked even at the bar graph down there, it's colored up. She said they basically, when they do an evaluation, they look at 2 things. They look at both ends of the spectrum. They're looking at the always and most of the time, and they're also looking at the never and don't know. She said the more always and most of the time, or the high results you have in there, the stronger board you have working together. In contrast, areas with never or don't know will show areas of concern and areas that the board needs to work on. She told me that generally a board will have 1 to 2 areas that will have more of the never and don't know, and also with somewhere around a 15 to a 20% score. And I see our largest red score or never was 6%. Gail also mentioned that sometimes the questions are hard to answer because if you look at them literally and they ask the word always, if you do something 90% of the time, it's hard to say always. In contrast to never, too. So she said sometimes people look at them very literally. What did we see on here? Her and I took a look at the tool, and we saw 4 standards with at least a 56 to an 84% always or most of the time, and only 1 resulting in which was 6% of a never or a don't know. As I mentioned earlier, we have 1 area to work on, and 4 of the standards appearing pretty strong. Even the 1 standard reflecting 6% of the never or I don't know is below the average she generally sees in that 15 to 20% to show weaknesses. Our highest scores are under standard 3, which was structure, and standard 4, which is accountability, with both of them over 80% in the always and most of the time. Standard 3 structure is where the school board is able to achieve a vision, establish organizational and physical structure for both student and staff success. Standard 4 is accountability, and that was the accountability of the board to the community for the goals that were set. The other standard, standard 2, which is vision, which we use community input to focus on educational future. We scored a 73% on always and most of the time. Standard 5, advocacy and communication, was 68%, again, always and most of the time. Standard 1, conduct and ethics, we scored a 56 of always or most of the time. And then there was about 39% of some of the time. So 6%, and I believe it was about 1% maybe of the, I don't know, maybe we don't have a black up there, but it looks like it was 1%. And that is where we as a whole provide leadership to the community on behalf of the school district by conducting its business in a fair, respectful, legal, responsible manner. In conclusion, tools are only as good as the information that's input, and the results are only meaningful if we use the results of the survey. I believe as a board we're moving in the right direction, guiding our school district in the direction where both our students and staff can achieve their educational goals. One thing we know, each day these directions can change, and we have to be able to work together and make these adjustments to continue to offer the quality education that we do at District 241. Again, if we want to dig deeper, they will be happy to come down. It's about a 2 or 3 hour session. I believe it's mostly a SMART goal type session that they like to come down and to dig deeper into it. There is a cost to that, doing that, and again, she would be happy to, or she would be happy to maybe, one thing she said, some boards will do this 1 year, and then they'll do it the next year if there isn't a big changeover. Now, we will have a possible changeover this year in board, but then that way you've got some base results, something to compare it to, and then possibly put together the extended session with the MSBA. Comments?
What was the comment that you made about 100% participation?
100% participation of our school board and superintendent.
Well, I didn't participate. As I said, I was not going to, so I would like to know what the participation really was.
That's what she told me. She said they had 8 people participate.
Well, then I would like to know who participated for me, if we could find that out, please.
We'll look into that, but I don't know. There's no identifier to any person, so I don't even know what I put down.
Well, I know that I did not participate,
Okay.
as I said, until we look into the
Okay.
January 19th meeting of 2016.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts, comments? Do you want to go further with this with the MSBA, or is this something that? I believe it's $950.
low confidence moving ahead with that just because of the participation that we had for this time. So I would like an answer for that from them before moving ahead from them. Otherwise, I'd be happy to have them come and visit us.
I too would entertain them coming because, for those of us that did it, it was very general, and so like you said, at the always and the never, and I think those SMART goals can kind of lead us in a way that puts a little another layer on this type of work, and I feel like this is a surface piece, and probably intentionally, but then it moves us to a point where we can actually have action and maybe do a logic model on inputs and desired outcomes and things.
I agree. I mean, this was great, but I don't know what to do with it. You know, I think we need some guidance, and of course, that's of course where that fee comes in. But I think it probably is worth it.
My only comment would be, you know, I like the idea of bringing somebody down, but I'm just wondering if that's time well spent right now with all the issues that we're dealing with the state level and other things going on. Down the road, maybe, let's take a look at it, but my guess is our plates are going to be pretty full with everything coming down with COVID.
She just basically said within a year, or if we're going to have a changeover, which we could possibly, we would look at the end of the year on a study session sometime.
Okay, I was thinking that.
Yeah, we don't have to schedule anything, no.
Are you saying that the results of this survey could be topics for discussion with the help of this individual within a year, rather than waiting until next year's evaluation? Well, I definitely agree with Dennis. This is no time to schedule any any meetings that'll be postponed right now. Yeah.
So you will be following up with them about that? Thank you.
I'll check with her and see what they have for any kind of tracking device.
When we took it, it asked you, I remember specifically, you know, put in an identifier, like what day of the week you took it or something like that. So there should be a way to be able to identify that way at least.
Anything else? If not, let's see, that looks like that leads us to adjournment. Our next meeting will be Monday, April 6th with a study session here. Meeting adjourned.